Hello. For this video, I'm going to cover some common mistakes or common errors that may happen while baking. For the purpose, I'm just going to create two simple objects, one high poly and a low poly. This is my high cube and my low cube. I'll now hide my low cube and just making some brief changes here. A common mistake is to have, for example, I want to give these details for the low poly, and the common mistake is only to move in one direction when I create an extrude, and this means that from the side view, and now I'm coming here to the side view. As you can see, I don't see any relief. And then this is because I only moved in one axis, and the faces that are here are not receiving any light from this point, right? So if I want to do something like this, I would suggest you to make, while making an extrude, all right? Just hold Control to be more sensitive and change a bit the offset too. And if you change the offset, you will see something happening here. And if in the side view you can see something, then it's more likely to work on the baking, right? Because in the baking process, you will actually see something like this. And those changes that you did here, at least by default setting, with the default settings, they will not appear. Another detail here. I can make here a Circularize, and this is a tool that may be interesting. I will add here a division so the circle is rounder, you know. Pay attention that you have here now these edges divided, but this is not a problem since we are working with the high poly and we are not very worried about what is happening here. It's okay. I'll just repeat the process because I can also come to this option here, and also I will again put here. And you may want to change some things here. Just you may want to change something here. I don't want to change anything else. Now I just want to create maybe an extrude, something like this, and now I will make it like that. Okay. So my edges here are hardened edges. Pay attention, another mistake is not considering the edge shading here, hardened edges or hard or softened edges, not consider them, and you need to consider them because depending on how you have the faces on your high poly, that's how it's going to look like in the low poly. So consider the softened edges and the hardened edges from your both models, high poly and low poly. Okay, this is my high cube so far. So a common mistake, this is only a mistake from beginners, but anyway, it happens sometimes, is when you try to export something like this. Oh, I'm happy with this object and I'm happy with this object, and now I'm exporting them as they are. And this is a mistake because they have to be in the same place, all right? So be sure in every view, when you change them positions and you don't know anymore what are the values that should be here, be sure that you align them in accordance to all views, all right? So I know that I want it here, here, and here, but when you don't know, just use these views to place them in the same place, all right? So this is another common mistake. And another very common thing that happen is to forget to freeze transformations and to clean the history. So be sure that you select your objects and you clean the history and you freeze transformations. You can use those icons here, or you can come here to edit, delete by type, history, and then modify freeze transformations. Okay, so I do another change and I need to export it again. I have to freeze transformations again or to delete history again. This is the safest process. And then we go to the next common mistake, that is, while exporting, I will export my selection, now my low cube. Well, I actually start with the high cube because my low poly cube is not ready yet, because I don't have the UVs created so far. I will export selection and notice that, well, this, I would call it also a mistake, is making UVs for the high poly models. You really don't need it. You are just wasting your time. You just need UVs for the low poly. So high cube, which is my high cube. And another thing, be sure that you have the triangulate option while I'm exporting an FBX file, okay? And here in my options, I will find a section here that is called geometry, and be sure that you have the triangulate option active. It will solve some issues that you may have with your geometry, and it's very common, this error to happen with high poly models, because they are more likely to have geometry issues because they are more complex, and we made some more details on it. So yeah, be sure that you triangulate your objects. All right, I have my high poly. So regarding my low poly, I need to have my UVs done. And we touch now another common problem. So depending on what you are doing, well, this is a simple object, so it's not very likely to happen with such an object. But anyway, is something that it can happen is, okay, I'm now making my UVs, and now I want this UV to be a bit bigger than the others for some reason, and I place it here, and I want these to be like this, for example, so depending on what I want, and this would change the way that the maps are going to be created. And okay, let's say that this is my UV shells that I want. There is a problem here. So this UV shell that you see here, it's misplaced, and well, it's out of my reference 0 to 1, right? So my UV reference here is, it should be, everything should be inside this, between 0 and 1. So I can select all my UV shells and press Ctrl L, or come here, modify and layout. And this way I'm sure that all UV shells are inside my UV editor from 0 to 1. Notice that as I did Ctrl L, my UV shells kept their shapes, and this one is bigger than the others, and this one is smaller than the others. Of course, that this will be, well, this will interfere in my UV projection and also my normal maps. For a cube, this is not the correct UV, because see, if I do it like this, now I have some distorted. This one is a bit distorted, so you see here I have cubes, here I don't have cubes. And just to check this one here, where is this face? So these cubes here are a bit smaller than this. So if you want to keep the density of your texels, so for a cube I will just make a automatic. Right, everything is in the same, okay? Oh, everything is between 0 and 1. When you make a Ctrl L, sometimes you will see that you will see another quadrant highlighted. So if you just want to be sure that everything is inside, you just scale it down a bit. All right. Now I have my low poly ready to export. So I will export selection, and once again check. Well, once you do it once, the triangulate will be always active, but I'm just highlighting again this need. Okay, so don't start with big images, because it will waste, you will spend too much time. Sometimes you are just making some tests, so it's a good idea to keep it in low sizes. And yeah, the edge padding here is the distance between UV shells. So the bigger your images, the bigger the edge padding may be. And for this case, well, it's a 512 image, so 2 is perfect. The mesh set is void, of course. I'm trying to bake without adding my meshes. All right, I will add meshes. So this one is the high cube, and here is the low cube. All right, and now I will make the normal map. I will see if there are any warnings or errors. So this is a warning related to the size of my high poly. It's too small. I will see if I have bad results. If I had bad results, probably my first strategy would be to correct the warning that they gave me. If the result is okay, I don't need to worry about it, just a warning. So I already have one, but I will override it, it's okay. Okay, so this is my my normal map. Let's see how it looks like here in Maya. So I'm going to create a new material. I'm keeping my object here. I will create a stingray because maybe I will also add an ambient occlusion map. For now, I just have a normal map, and I will add my normal map. So my documents, my cube normal is here, open. And just give it a name. This is my cube material. And now I can add this cube material to my object. Be sure that you have this option selected, okay, texture. And there we go, 6 to display the texture option. And yes, as we talked, the other two marks are not here for the reason I told you, because we just used the standard. So you have a lot of places where you can use the bake option. However, for example, for the flowers, you may ask yourselves how you're going to do them without increasing your polygons. So yeah, I would suggest you to make an approach not based on baking, but based on texturing. So if you use just like a plane without divisions because you want it low poly. And if you here for this plane, you go to hypershade, and for example, if you create, I want a flower. So if instead of a color, I have a texture, and this texture, if this texture is a PNG file, and I have a PNG file here, so I don't have any background. Be sure that you don't have any background. And if I use it as a texture, and I apply to my plane, you can see that my plane now has doesn't have any complexity in geometry, but I have this nice effect. So if you want to use that to avoid adding more details, if you want to give it a bit more details, you can make like so it's still a plane, all right? Or you can use the cube or a cylinder. Anyway, you don't need to think about bake for that option, all right? Just wanted to give that information. All right, so that's it for now. I wish you good work. Bye-bye.